Have you ever let one moment of anger ruin your entire day? Just one insult, one careless comment, and suddenly you're hijacked by emotion. Saying things you don't mean. Doing things you later regret. Why does it feel like our emotions have a mind of their own? Why is it so hard to stay in control when tempers flare? Those who live by the Stoic lifestyle believe that your mind, not other people, not external circumstances, is the real battlefield. Power doesn't lie in raising your voice. It lies in not reacting at all. In choosing calm over chaos. In refusing to hand your peace to someone who never earned it in the first place. This video will show you exactly how to stop getting angry or upset with anyone or anything, not by burying your emotions, but by rewiring the way you respond. You'll discover clear, battle-tested techniques inspired by the Stoic lifestyle, designed to help you pause before you react. Let go of what doesn't serve you. Master your emotions like a true mental warrior. And let's be clear, you're not weak for struggling with anger. You're human. Every man has felt the sting of disrespect, the rush of fury, the impulse to fight back. But only a few ever learn how to rise above it. That's where everything changes. So if you're tired of being emotionally hijacked, this is for you. Like this video, subscribe for more Stoic lifestyle strategies, and share it with someone who's ready to reclaim their inner peace. Because once you understand the mindset of the Stoic lifestyle, you don't just manage anger, you become untouchable. And that changes everything. Your boss talks down to you. Your partner throws a sharp comment. Before your brain even catches up, your mouth is already firing back. That's the pattern. That's the trap. And most men stay stuck in it their entire lives, convinced it's just how they are. But those who follow the Stoic lifestyle saw it through a very different lens. They didn't see anger as part of your personality. They saw it as something far more dangerous, a weakness pretending to be strength. The philosopher Epictetus said it bluntly: any person capable of anger is a slave to it. Harsh? Yes, but true. Because when you react without thinking, you give away your power, completely, to the very thing that triggered you. You become easy to provoke, easy to control, and worst of all, emotionally drained. Now imagine this scene. You're standing in a long line at the DMV. You've already waited over an hour. You're tired, frustrated, and then, someone brazenly cuts in front of you. Like you're invisible. You feel it instantly. That tightness in your chest. Your jaw locks. You're seconds away from snapping. That right there? That's the battlefield. You can fight the same old war, say something, escalate it, walk away fuming, or you can pause. You can ask yourself one deceptively simple question: will getting angry actually make this better? Deep down, you already know the answer. You've lived that answer. You've snapped before, at strangers, loved ones, co-workers. And what did it give you? Stress, regret, and more distance from the man you want to become. This moment of pause, is where the Stoic lifestyle transforms everything. You're not being asked to suppress your feelings. You're being challenged to step outside of them. To observe them like clouds drifting through the sky, temporary, changing, but not in control. Feel them? Yes. Acknowledge them? Absolutely. But hand them the wheel? Never again. Because your rational mind, that calm, clear driver inside you, that's your true power. That's what those who lived the Stoic lifestyle forged through discipline and reflection. The problem? Most men go through life thinking their anger is justified, that it's righteous. But is it really? What if, instead of defending your anger, you began to challenge it? What if you treated every emotional flare-up as an invitation, not to explode, but to grow stronger? And once you start questioning your anger, you begin to see the truth. It doesn't make you strong. It only makes you predictable. Some people will try to twist the narrative. They'll tell you that staying calm means you're weak, that you're cold, passive, or simply don't care. But here's the truth: anyone can explode. That's easy. What's hard, what demands true strength, maturity, and self-respect, is staying composed when everything around you is begging for a reaction. When someone disrespects you, and you don't give them the satisfaction of watching you lose control. That's not apathy. That's dominance. When life hurls chaos your way, and you remain steady, rooted, unshaken, that's not passivity. That's power. So the next time you feel that fire rise in your chest, that surge of adrenaline telling you to react, to shout, to prove something, pause, breathe, and tell yourself, this anger is a habit. I don't need to wear it anymore. Then walk away, not because you're running, not because you're defeated, but because you've outgrown the urge to waste energy on things that don't deserve you. You're not here to be triggered by every fool who crosses your path. You're here to reclaim your power. And that doesn't begin with changing the world. It begins with changing how you respond to it. Respond like a man who owns his mind. Respond like someone living the Stoic lifestyle. Section 2, Control yourself, not others. Here's a tough truth. It's easy to blow up, easy to raise your voice, throw a verbal jab, or slam the door behind you. That's what most men do when they feel disrespected. They lash out to feel like they're taking back control. But that kind of control, it's an illusion. It burns fast. It fades faster. And in the end, it leaves you feeling empty, ashamed, and weaker than before. Real control isn't about overpowering someone else. It's about standing tall without needing to overpower anyone. It's about mastering your own emotions in the very moment they try to master you. Because anger, it lies to you. It whispers that silence is surrender. That if someone pushes you, you need to push harder. That if you don't react, you're a doormat. But take a breath. Think back. How many times has anger actually made your life better? How many arguments did it fix? How many relationships did it heal? You yell, and they yell louder. You react, and they escalate. And in the end, you're left with nothing but regret. And another crack in your piece. Closing transition, lead into next page. But it doesn't have to be that way. Because when you realize that the man who controls himself holds more power than the man who controls others, everything changes. So how do you build that control? Not just once, but every time life tests you? Sure, you might raise your voice and prove your point. But at what cost? You win the argument, but lose the connection. You shut someone down, but lie awake replaying every word. You feel powerful in the moment, but empty once it's over. That's not control. That's just reaction dressed up as strength. Now picture this. You're in a meeting at work. Your manager criticizes your idea, unfairly, and in front of the entire team. The tone? Condescending. Maybe even a little arrogant. You feel it instantly. The heat rising in your chest. That deep urge to fire back. To defend your idea. To defend yourself. But then, something shifts. A voice inside whispers, if I speak now, I'll only feed the fire. I'll only make this worse. So you pause, you take a breath, you steady yourself, and then you simply say, thanks for the feedback. I'll revisit it. And you move on. No flare up. No ego. Just control. Later, in private, you calmly explain your perspective, not with emotion, but with clarity. That is true strength. That's not passivity. That's power on your terms. That's the Stoic lifestyle. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius said it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The Stoics didn't let pride run the show. They valued response over reaction, clarity over chaos. They knew something many men still haven't realized. Trying to control other people is a losing game. What you can control, what you've always had control over, is how you choose to show up in the moment. The mistake most men make: they believe silence makes them look weak. That walking away means backing down. That staying calm somehow makes them less of a man. But be honest with yourself. The last time someone completely lost it in front of you, did you respect them more? Or did they lose power in your eyes? Rage is loud, but respect is quiet. And when you stay calm in the face of provocation, you become untouchable. That kind of presence? It rattles people more than shouting ever could. Walking the Stoic lifestyle doesn't mean you never speak up. It means you choose how and when. and why you speak. And that difference, that's where power lives. When you start living on your terms, not your angers, you begin to feel something shift. Not in the world around you, but inside you. Because every time you delay your reaction, every time you let the emotion rise and pass before you act, you create space. And in that space, you find wisdom. You gain the ability to choose, to respond with strength, not impulse, to protect your peace without sacrificing your pride. Next time someone tries to provoke you, throws a jab, mocks you, disrespects you, don't take the bait. Let them act small. Let them chase the drama. You stay solid. Not because you're scared to speak, but because you're too steady to fall into their storm. You rise, not for them, for yourself. Because that's what real control looks like. It's not about dominating others. It's not about shouting louder or winning arguments. It's about keeping your self-respect in one piece. It's about walking away from conflict with your dignity untouched. So start today. Don't try to control the room. Control your breath. Control your words. Control your tone. Control your energy. You'll leave every confrontation with something most men never earn: a clear mind, a calm heart, a clean conscience. And no one, not the loudest person in the room, can take that from you. Section 3, Build calm like a muscle. Here's something most men never learn. You can't expect to stay calm in the storm if you never practice calm when it's quiet. Emotional strength doesn't just show up when you need it. It has to be trained, earned, built, day by day, in the silent moments when no one's watching. Most men wait until they're already overwhelmed, angry, disrespected, cornered, and then they try to stay calm. But by that point, it's too late, because self-mastery doesn't come from willpower in the heat of the moment. It comes from daily repetition. Think of it like training in the gym. Would you expect to walk in for the first time and deadlift 300 pounds? Of course not. If you've never trained your body, that weight will crush you. And your emotions? They work the same way. If you never train yourself to pause, to breathe, to sit in discomfort without reacting, then when life presses down, you'll fold. Not because you're weak, but because you never trained. If you've never trained yourself to sit with discomfort instead of reacting, then when life hits you hard, you fold. Not because you're broken, not because you're weak, but because you're untrained. Now picture this: it's the end of a long day. You're finally home, exhausted. You set your laptop on the table, step away for a second, and suddenly, splash, your child has spilled juice all over it. Your gut reaction kicks in, fast. You want to yell. You want to scold. You want to scream. Do you know what you just did? But something inside you clicks. You've been training for this. So instead of reacting, you pause, you take a breath, you lower your voice and say, "It's okay. Let's clean it up together." That moment, it might seem small, but it's not. That's a rep. That's a mental push-up. That's strength in action. And when the bigger storms come, when the stakes are higher and the stress is heavier, that rep will carry you. Because Stoic lifestyle isn't some abstract philosophy meant for monks meditating on a mountaintop. It was designed for the real world. For soldiers. For fathers. For leaders. For everyday people drowning in deadlines, traffic, noise, and pressure. It teaches one powerful truth: peace is not found in escape. It's forged in the fire. It's found in training your mind to stay still in the middle of the storm. And that training, it starts with the little things. Waking up early to reflect. Journaling your thoughts before bed. Choosing silence over sarcasm when someone frustrates you. Taking one deep breath instead of snapping back. These aren't pointless routines. They're not fluff. They're workouts for your soul. Most men make the mistake of waiting for the fire, hoping they'll stay calm when it counts. But that's not how this works. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your training. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself every day, reflecting on what triggered him, what tested him, and how he could respond better tomorrow. Not because he was weak, but because he was committed to growth. Epictetus, once a slave, taught that discipline isn't built in grand public moments. It's built in silence, in thought, in the daily control of reaction. word, and emotion. They didn't wait to be calm. They practiced it. They made calm a habit, not just a lucky reaction. So if you want to stop being the man who always loses it when life turns sideways, start being the man who prepares before it does. Sit with your discomfort instead of reaching for a distraction. Watch your breath when you're tempted to interrupt. Slow your voice when you feel the heat rise. That's how you build strength before you need it. So here's one simple but powerful habit. Reflect at the end of the day. Even if it's just 5 minutes. Don't scroll. Don't numb out. Just sit in silence and ask, where did I hold the line today? Where did I lose it? How can I do better tomorrow? These aren't small acts. They are your emotional weightlifting, your reps, your discipline. Because no one's born a stoic, and no man wakes up with flawless self-control. But the man who commits, who repeats, who trains, he builds something most people never will. He becomes untouchable. You don't become calm by wishing for it. You build it like anything else, through effort, repetition, and time. So don't wait for life to test you. Test yourself every day. Because the man who trains his mind in stillness, he wins when the noise comes. Section 4. Let go of what doesn't serve you. Let's be honest. You had your whole day mapped out. You were ready. Wake up early. Hit the gym. Knock out tasks. Feel like you're finally in control. But then, traffic. Then a meeting gets cancelled without notice. Then your boss dumps 3 new things on your plate at 10 a.m. without asking. Now your plan is wrecked. Your rhythm is off. And frustration starts to boil. Your chest tightens. Your throat gets hot. You feel the anger rising fast. But here's the truth. That heat doesn't come from the event. It comes from your resistance to it. You're not angry because the day changed. You're angry because you believed it wouldn't. Because somewhere deep down, you thought life owed you smooth sailing. But the world, it doesn't ask for your permission. It doesn't check your to-do list before it shifts direction. And the longer you cling to how things were supposed to go, the more you suffer. That's not weakness. That's attachment. And attachment, left unchecked, becomes a cage. Because a man who needs everything to go perfectly in order to stay calm will never know peace. Letting go isn't failure. It isn't giving up. It's wisdom. It's knowing what's worth holding on to, and what's slowly slipping through your fingers no matter how tightly you grip. The Stoic lifestyle teaches this clearly. Peace doesn't come from controlling everything. It comes from recognizing what was never yours to control in the first place. The strongest men didn't waste their energy on traffic, rude strangers, or cancelled plans. They didn't get derailed by every bump in the road. Why? Because they knew something most people miss. Your energy is limited, and wasting it on things you can't control, that's not strength, that's exhaustion. They saved their focus for what actually mattered. Their character, their mindset, their response. So next time something throws your day off course, whether it's a delay, a disrespect, or a sudden change, don't just react. Pause, step back and ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, don't give it your attention. Don't feed it your fire. Let it pass, like a storm rolling through the sky. You're not ignoring the problem. You're simply refusing to drown in it. And that's not denial. That's discipline. The most common mistake men make is thinking that control means forcing things to bend to their will. But real control, it's about adaptation. It's not making the world obey you. It's staying calm when it doesn't. That's why the Stoic lifestyle isn't about being passive. It's about being precise. It's not about caring less. It's about caring wisely, investing your energy in what can actually be shaped, built, improved. And once you shift your focus like that, something powerful happens. You free yourself. Story, the parking lot moment. Picture this. You're in a parking lot. A stranger backs into your car, leaves a dent in your bumper, then gets out, shrugs, and says, "It's not that bad." You feel it instantly. The heat, the frustration, that urge to explode and make him feel what you feel. But instead, after that first emotional wave hits, you pause. You ask yourself, will yelling fix the dent? Will my anger make him care more? Of course not. So you breathe. You stay composed. You handle the paperwork. Protect your energy. And drive away, not just with a dented bumper, but with your dignity fully intact. That's the move. That's the win. Not because you let him off the hook, but because you didn't let him take more than metal. He doesn't get your night. He doesn't get your mental peace. He doesn't get your health, your time, or your identity. You kept all of that, because you let go of what wasn't worth keeping. That's what Stoic strength looks like. It doesn't shout. It doesn't cling. It releases. And in that release, there is something deeper. So start asking yourself, more often and more honestly, is this mine to hold? If the answer is no, let it go. Because the man who knows what to carry and what to drop, he doesn't get thrown off by every inconvenience. He doesn't flinch at every insult. He doesn't get rattled by every change of plan. He walks through the storm, calm, clear, and unshaken. And that man, no matter the chaos around him, no matter what or who he faces, he remains in control. Section 5, Turn conflict into a test of mastery. Here's the truth about life. You can't avoid conflict. Not if you're alive. Not if you're building anything real. Not if you work with others, love others, or even just show up in the world. Someone will misunderstand you. Someone will talk over you. Someone will push your buttons or challenge your values. That's not a glitch in life. That is life. But here's the problem. Most men approach conflict the wrong way. They treat it like a threat, an attack on their pride, a moment they have to win. So they puff up, raise their voice, tense their shoulders, and try to dominate the room. But in doing that, they miss the truth. Conflict isn't a threat to your power. It's a mirror of it. It shows you where you still break too easily, where your ego still runs the show, where you're still reacting to other people's opinions like they control your worth. And that's why those who live the Stoic lifestyle saw every argument, insult, or unfair situation not as a crisis but as practice. Life, to them, was a gym. And every confrontation was a rep, an opportunity to flex restraint, to test control, to refuse to be pulled down into noise and chaos. Story, the hardware store test. Picture this. You're at the counter of a hardware store. You've been waiting patiently in line. Then suddenly, the guy behind you charges up front, waves a crumpled receipt, and starts shouting to be served first. The clerk freezes. Everyone turns. The moment fills with tension. Your heart starts pounding. Your jaw tightens. Your mind races. Say something. Don't let this guy walk over you. But instead, you don't react. You don't posture. You don't raise your voice. Instead, you take a breath and step back inwardly. You ask yourself, what's really at risk here? My time, or my ego? And just like that, you reclaim your power. Closing transition, prepare for final message. Because when conflict stops being about proving something, and starts being a test of how well you've trained your mind, you win. Even when you walk away. Now, in the final part, we'll bring it all together and remind you why living this way changes everything. Because in that moment, you don't roll over, you rise above. And that's not weakness, that's power, with precision. The mistake many men make is this: they think calm equals surrender. That if you don't fire back, you're being walked over. That if you don't win the exchange, you've lost. But the truth is, losing control of your emotions, that's the real surrender. That's when you hand your power away. The man who follows the Stoic lifestyle doesn't avoid confrontation. He faces it, with awareness. But he refuses to let it control him. He speaks, not to erupt, but to bring clarity. Because he understands something deeper. The only thing worse than being disrespected is lowering yourself to match that disrespect. And the more you approach conflict as a test, not of who's louder, not of who's right, but of who's truly in control, the more unshakable you become. Conflict stops being a battlefield. It becomes a training ground. You stop wasting your energy on petty arguments. You stop letting small-minded people shrink your peace. And instead, you grow stronger with every challenge. That's how Marcus Aurelius lived. He ruled an empire, faced betrayal, war, politics, and chaos. And still, He chose stillness. He didn't chase revenge. He didn't lash out. He chased integrity, because he knew what most never learn. Every confrontation, every insult, every unfair moment isn't just a frustration. It's a chance to practice self-mastery, not once, but daily. Final closing, inspiring end to the series. And that's the heart of the Stoic lifestyle. Not silence, not coldness, but strength under control, discipline over impulse, peace that cannot be stolen. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to train, reflect, respond, repeat. Because in the end, the most powerful man in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one who stays calm, because he built himself to be that way. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, subscribe for more Stoic lifestyle content, and share this with someone who's ready to reclaim their peace. Because once you live this way, you're not just reacting to life, you're leading it. Because the men who understand that, they don't just survive conflict, they walk through it unchanged, untouchable. So next time someone pushes your buttons, deliberately or not, try this. Instead of snapping back, say nothing. Instead of proving a point, protect your peace. Instead of letting their chaos become your chaos, become the calm they can't reach. And don't do it to look good. Don't do it to be liked. Do it because you've trained yourself to rise above what's not worth your fall. You're not here to react to every insult, every jab, every disruption. You're here to sharpen your edge. Every frustrating moment, every confrontation, it's a chance to do exactly that. Respond with control. That's how you win. Not by overpowering, not by shouting, but by proving something far deeper than dominance. That you've mastered the hardest battlefield of all, yourself. Section 6, Stay present. Now here's a quiet truth most men don't talk about. It's not the moment that makes you angry. It's your imagination. You think you're angry at what just happened, but really, you're angry at what it might mean, what could happen next, what it says about you, what you should have said back, what they really meant. Your mind races forward 10 steps, or backward 10 years, and in that chaos, the present disappears. That's where most of your suffering lives, not in reality, but in your reaction to it. And until you train yourself to stop living in the past or panicking about the future, you'll keep losing control in the only moment that ever mattered, this one. Story, the 3-second trigger. Let's say you're driving home. Someone cuts you off in traffic. In reality, it's 3 seconds of inconvenience, but in your mind, you replay it for the next 30 minutes. You imagine the argument. You imagine confronting the driver, yelling, putting him in his place. You rehearse your rage, and that energy, it follows you. And that's exactly how small things become heavy burdens, not because they were big to begin with, but because you never learned to let them go in the moment they happened. You carried them, not for hours, but sometimes for days, weeks, or years. This is where the Stoic lifestyle draws the line. It cuts through mental clutter like a sharp, steady blade. It doesn't ask you to escape reality. It demands that you come back to it, right here, right now. Because now, there's no insult, no imagined future, no past left to fix. There is only breath, there is only action, there is only choice. Marcus Aurelius understood this. Every time his thoughts wandered, he trained himself to return to the moment, to anchor back into reality. He reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Not later. Not after you win the argument. Not once things go your way. Right now. The thought trap, recognizing the illusion. Here's a trap we all fall into. You believe your thoughts are facts. That just because you're thinking something, it must be true. But it's not. Most of what you react to isn't real. It's imagined. The Stoics saw this clearly. An untamed mind is the root of unnecessary pain, because the imagination, left unchecked, builds enemies that don't exist, and rehearses arguments that never even happened. Try this. Tactical mindfulness. You're walking into a conversation with someone you don't like. You're already tense, already expecting the worst. Your mind is bracing for conflict that hasn't even started. That tension? It's not from anything they've said, it's from the future you've already created in your head. So stop, come back, be in the moment. Maybe they'll say something rude, maybe they won't. Either way, you'll handle it better from a grounded mind than a racing one. That's why mindfulness isn't just some spiritual trend. It's a tactical advantage. It keeps your head clear when your instincts beg for chaos. It sharpens your response when others lose theirs. And you don't need to sit cross-legged in silence for an hour to get it. You just need to notice your breath. Right here, right now, because that's where your power lives. Not in the past, not in the future, only in this moment. Final outro, strong closing for YouTube. The world won't get quieter. The people around you won't suddenly become perfect. But you can train, you can reflect, you can respond with calm, clarity, and control. That's the Stoic lifestyle, not just a mindset, a way of living. So if this message resonated with you, make it a daily rep. Like this video, subscribe for more Stoic strategies, and share this with someone who's ready to become untouchable, not by force, but by focus. You don't need to escape the storm. You need to become the stillness inside it. Try this right now. Notice your posture, the way the air feels around you, the sound in the room, the pressure of your feet pressing gently into the floor. Every time your mind wants to spin a story, about what they meant, about what might happen, you bring it back, again and again. You train it like a muscle, not to escape life, but to stay right here, where life actually is. And when you do that, something shifts. You stop overreacting to things that aren't even happening. You stop reliving what you can't change. You stop rehearsing words you don't need to say. And you start responding, not from anxiety, not from fear, but from presence. That's where your calm lives. That's where your power lives. You don't control what already happened. You don't control what hasn't happened yet. But you do control now. And if you can own just this moment, even for a few breaths, you're not just practicing stoicism. You're living free. And that kind of freedom, that kind of strength, no one can take from you. Section 7. Drop the weight of resentment. But even as you ground yourself in the present, there's another kind of burden that quietly steals your peace. Resentment. It doesn't just cloud your thoughts. It doesn't just poison your mood. It wears you down. You've seen it. The man who looks tired even after a full night's sleep. The one who moves like he's carrying something invisible but heavy. The man who flinches at kindness, because betrayal is all he knows. That weight, it's not physical, it's emotional. And the longer you hold it, the anger, the blame, the bitterness, the more it eats away at your strength. Not just your patience, not just your joy, but your clarity, your energy, your ability to feel light again. Most men don't even realize it's happening. They think they've moved on just because they've stopped talking about it. But silence isn't healing. And just because you've buried the grudge, doesn't mean it's not shaping the way you speak, the way you trust, the way you live. That argument from 5 years ago, it's still on your shoulders now. It shows up in how fast you snap when someone brushes a boundary. It's in the tension you carry to bed. It's in the way you withhold kindness, not just from others, but from yourself. Forgiveness, to the Stoics, wasn't about moral virtue. It wasn't about letting someone off the hook. It was about self-preservation. Letting go wasn't weakness. It was a refusal to let someone else own your peace. Because every ounce of resentment you carry, it robs you of clarity, focus, and emotional energy, right now. And no one, not even the person who wronged you, deserves that kind of power over your life. The Stoic Epictetus once said, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus can get the better of my will." That's what forgiveness really is. Not approval, not forgetting, but refusing to be shackled from the inside out. Story, replaying the pain. Think of a time someone crossed a line. Maybe they lied. Maybe they left when you needed them. Maybe they embarrassed you in front of others and walked away like it was nothing. You told yourself you'd never forget, and maybe you haven't. But what happens every time they come to mind? Your stomach tightens. Your mood drops. Your peace vanishes. That's not strength. That's self-inflicted punishment. You're reliving what they did long after they've forgotten it. And that's the trap, believing that holding on protects you, when in fact, it weakens you. The man who lives the Stoic lifestyle doesn't wear anger like armor. He lets it go like fire burning in his hands, because he knows, it burns the one who carries it most. Forgiveness redefined. Reclaiming peace. Forgiveness doesn't mean you trust them again. It doesn't mean what they did was okay. It means you're choosing to reclaim the space in your mind for something better, something lighter, something that heals instead of haunts. And it starts with one small but powerful decision. Stop feeding the story. Every time you replay the offense, you reinforce the wound. So stop rehearsing pain. Start protecting your energy. Story, the break room choice. You're in the break room. Someone tosses a slick comment across the room. You know it's a jab. You feel it. It hits. Now you've got options. You could clap back. You could carry it with you all day. You could replay it during your commute. Retell it to your buddy. Let it shape your mood, your evening, your sleep. But you don't. Closing transition, prepare for final reflection. Because strength isn't always what you say. Sometimes it's what you don't carry forward. And in the next moment, you'll see how even silence, when chosen wisely, becomes a sign of power. So someone throws a slick comment. You know what they're doing. You could carry that with you all day. Let it cling to your mood. Replay it until midnight. Let it steal your sleep and sour your peace. Or, you could smile. Not because you're weak, but because you're done carrying trash that doesn't belong to you. You breathe, you walk out, and you leave the weight behind. That's not passivity. That's power under control. It's knowing the difference between what's worth your energy and what just drains it. And when you begin to drop resentment, you'll feel it in your posture, in your sleep, in the clarity of your thoughts, in how light you start to move through the world. Forgiveness isn't a favor to them. It's a gift to yourself. Let it go. Not for their sake, but so you can stop dragging your past into your present. You've got more life ahead of you than behind. Make space for it. Because the man who travels light, moves faster, breathes deeper, and lives freer. And that man, you can be him. If you're ready to put the weight down. Section 8, pause before you react. Now here's something that changes everything, but it's easy to miss. The pause, that single breath between what happens and how you respond. It happens faster than you think. One sentence, one tone, one offhand comment, and you're already halfway to raising your voice, shutting down, or slamming the door. By the time you realize you're angry, you've already reacted. And that reaction, it wasn't thought through. It was triggered by old tension, old habits, old wounds. And in that moment, you give away your power. But what if that split second, that tiny space between the spark and the fire, what if that's where you took it back? The Stoic lifestyle begins in the pause, not in silence, not in avoidance, but in the space between stimulus and response, where your real power lives. Because the real battlefield, it's not the argument, it's not the insult. The real fight happens in that breath, that tiny delay where you ask, do I react like I always do, or respond like the man I'm trying to become? Most people never even see that space. Their emotions outrun their awareness. But once you learn to pause, even for a second, you shift everything. Most people never even see that space. Their emotions outrun their awareness. The insult hits, and the reaction follows, automatically, instinctively. But once you start recognizing that tiny space between the spark and the fire, you realize how much control you actually have, and how often you've been giving it away. Let's say you're at home. Your teenage son talks back, again. That tone, that look in his eyes, it hits something raw. It stings. You're about to snap, but something inside holds you back. You take one slow breath, and you say, "I'm going to respond in a minute." That moment right there, that's power. Not silence out of fear, but restraint with purpose. You've just broken a cycle, a pattern that's played out in millions of homes for generations. And in that pause, you started writing a different story. The truth about respect and reaction. Here's a common mistake: believing that if you don't react fast, you'll lose respect. That hesitation makes you look weak. That waiting costs you authority. But in truth, what you gain in that 2-second pause is clarity. You give your brain a moment to catch up, to process, to choose the right aim instead of just pulling the trigger. That's what the Stoics trained for. Not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of timing. Marcus Aurelius didn't say, "Don't feel." He said, "Don't act unless it serves the greater good." And often, the greater good starts with silence. The modern world rewards speed, but Stoicism trains precision. We live in a world obsessed with speed. Text back immediately. Answer fast. Fire off a response before you've even heard the full sentence. But emotional discipline? It's not about speed. It's about accuracy. Saying the right thing, at the right time, in the right tone. And you can't do that if you let adrenaline do the talking. You need to slow down. You need to breathe, to name what you're feeling, to see the full board before making a move you'll regret. It doesn't take years of meditation. It takes one decision. Practical application, the power move. When the pressure hits, pause. Tell yourself, "I don't need to react yet." Walk to the other room. Take 10 deep breaths. Ask yourself, what's the outcome I actually want here? And only then, you speak. You move. You act. Not from ego, from intention. The Stoic man, not cold, but clear. The Stoic man isn't cold. He's clear. He's not slow. He's steady. He doesn't repress what he feels. He commands it. Because in the pause, he sees more. He sees the consequences. He sees the opportunity. And he steps into both, with a steady hand. So treat tension as your training ground. When your heart starts to race, when your face heats up, when your fists want to clench and your voice is ready to rise, don't move. Not yet. Let the moment settle. Let the storm pass, internally. Then decide how to own it. Because the man who masters the pause doesn't just win the argument. He wins himself. And that is a victory worth choosing. Again and again. Now you know the truth. You are not a prisoner of your emotions. You are not bound to anger, resentment, or the need to react. You are not stuck. What the Stoics taught, what men like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus lived, is that calm isn't something you're born with. It's forged. It's earned. It's burned into you through effort. Self-control isn't denial. It's discipline. And peace isn't weakness. It's strength sharpened in silence. Summary, what you've learned. We've explored how anger is a habit, one you can unlearn. You've seen that true power doesn't shout, it responds with purpose. You've learned that emotional calm is like a muscle. It's not built in the big moments, but in the small ones, reps of breath, reflection, and restraint. You've seen that letting go isn't surrender. It's wisdom. It's the decision to carry peace instead of pain. You've discovered that staying present is your best defense. And that in every single moment of tension, there is a window, a pause, where your character is forged. This isn't theory. This is your life. It's how you respond to your partner, how you hold your ground in tough meetings, how you choose to walk away from noise and stand firm in your values. Each of those moments is a chance to practice. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. This is how you stop being triggered by everything, and start becoming untouchable. Final call to action, empowering and personal. So I invite you, begin with today. Train your breath, hold your words, master your pause, and build a mind that cannot be shaken by what it cannot control. If this message spoke to you, share your story. Drop a comment. What moment tested you recently? What did you learn from holding back? How did you grow? We learn by reflecting. We grow by helping others do the same. Because in the end, the man who masters himself, his thoughts, his reactions, his energy, is the man who owns his life. And that is the kind of strength that endures.